And just on the Greenways, I suppose, like I live in the northwest, so the SLNCR is obviously a big, it's one of the potential Greenways and the ones that have been looked at. There's a lot of concern, and I've met loads of different people, individuals and groups around it, and there is a lot of concern that even then when they meet the PLOs, that they're still, the PLOs seems to be fobbing them off maybe and going back to Arab, like the bug. I suppose the landowners feel that they're not being listened to, despite engaging with the local PLOs, and despite that, they want to engage and they want to have some negotiation around that. If on the old railway isn't working, and they're very willing to have other parcels of their land used, but they just seem to be feeling frustrated that they're not actually being listened to. And I suppose what a lot of the landowners that I've met have said that they become, I suppose, so kind of disconnected with it, or maybe fed up, I would call it, that they don't feel that, is there a full, in the review, could there be a full structured budget-led approach? Like, they're not sure that there's an awful lot of stress being caused, an awful lot of worry, and then they're looking at the estimates for the whole 60 Greenways, and they don't seem to be sinking, are the budgets realistic for what has been planned for the Greenways overall? So that's just one question. And I suppose, from your opinion, do you think that your level of engagement with landowners, or your level of flexibility with landowners is adequate? Although, like everyone wants to see Greenways up, and was particularly around our area, which we could badly do with the tourism and for cross border, in terms of, I suppose, relationships. But like it seems to me that there's unnecessary lack of flexibility coming from, I don't know if it's from Arab, and then that the PLOs aren't actually engaging like they should be.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think the kind of flexibility that you're talking about is exactly what hopefully the overall review will identify over the next while. And I think, ultimately these projects are local authority led, and I would like to think certainly that there is open engagement with landowners, and that there is a fair
but they're saying
assessment
that it's going back to Arab again, though, that they're saying that the PLOs are engaging with them, but then that there doesn't seem to be taking responsibility, that it's saying this is going back to Arab. Like, who? And I suppose my question would be, are the budgets, is it realistic that these are going to be delivered within your budgets?
So we have about 60 million a year for Greenways. So if you were to look at every potential Greenway project in the country, 60 million a year is going to take a long time.
It's a drop in the ocean
to eat into that. But having said that, there are a number of projects that I think merit progressing, and then obviously through to construction. So we have to manage the budget as we would under any other area of activity across TII in terms of prioritising those projects that I suppose
can you tell people
present.
Then, sorry for cutting across your Lord, but can you tell people then, are there landowners going through unnecessary stress, even though it mightn't even come out that these are actually going to be delivered at all?
Well, I think obviously when you're talking about individual land parcels, that is very personal, and I couldn't deny that it wouldn't cause some stress. But I think where we are coming up with a potential preferred route and narrowing down further, there is a greater clarity around what sort of land take might be required. The precise timing of that can be difficult to estimate early on in the process, but we would certainly be trying to be as open and transparent as we could be. But it is ultimately, it's so when I say we, the local authority in progressing those projects.
But are the budgets that have been allocated for Greenways unrealistic to the scale of the ambition?
I suppose that will be considered as part of the strategy review.
Okay.
As well, so the strategy review is looking like, we do believe there are lessons to come out of all of this.
Yeah.
So the strategy is looking at those, looking at the whole programme as well. So the opportunity, and through the strategy review, is there to look at the way things are delivered.
That structural budget.
Yeah. So that is happening, but it's happening at the moment.
And when is the review due to be published?
It's going to take the strategy. The initial publication is towards the end of the year. It takes time to have that engagement, to give people the opportunity.
And and there's other very positive engagement.
Yeah.
I'm just focusing on some of the kind of concerns that have come up with me. But but
no, it will take time. And there's a lot of things to look at here as well, you know. So,
okay. But the end of the year, you think the review
it will include looking at the overall programme, among other things, you know.
And realistic budgets.
Yeah, like it may be necessary to break schemes down, things like that. There may be, you know, there's a number of things to look at, and I don't want to, you know, it's going to happen. We're going to look at all of that.
Thanks a million.